Well, good morning, y'all. I'm Warren Hoskinson with Four Rivers Association of Realtors. I'm a director of the board here, and I'm lucky to have some awesome guests this morning.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us today. I'm Harry Bowers. I've been blessed to serve for 3 years as the District 3 and seeking the second term.
Fantastic.
Good morning. Hello. I'm honored to be here. My name is Joy Harvey, and I am running for City Council District 4 here in the great city of New Braunfels.
And Texas Realtors has decided to back these folks based off a recommendation from Four Rivers Association of Realtors. So we wanted to get some info out there to let y'all know why we think so highly of these two candidates. Mr. Bowers, if you'd like to start off with us, why are you running again, sir?
Sure, I appreciate that, sir. I've been blessed to call me Braunfels home for almost 20 years, and I've always believed in public service. When I moved here a little over 19 years ago, I was appointed to the Community Development Advisory Committee, and I served on boards and commissions for 16 straight years before I ran for office the first time. So I'm been blessed to call me Braunfels home. I believe in our community. I believe in collaboration. We're growing at a rapid pace and working collaboratively with everybody from homeowners to builders to developers to the nonprofits to business community to City Hall. It's imperative we work together collaboratively with the common goal, and not just for ourselves, but for our future generations, because the decisions we make today impact the next generation, the generation thereafter as well. And I've been blessed to be part of that process, and I like working with other folks to try to do the best we can to make these problems a great place both for today.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for your service for these past years, and good luck on the upcoming race. And Ms. Harvey, what about yourself? What's made you want to run for city council?
Besides temporary insanity? No. Very similar to Harry. I have service in my heart. I went to Texas A&M University. They kind of beat it into you there. My husband's military. I volunteer. I was in the private sector for about 10 years with KPMG, but stayed home with my kids. Just kind of got into the world of volunteerism even while I was working. Served on a bunch of boards here in New Braunfels. Just philanthropy in my genes, and I believe in giving back to the community that has loved on us for 12 years, raised all my kids here. I want it to be amazing when they bring their kids back, even more beautiful New Braunfels than what we know to this day. And I think I can help.
Fantastic, and thank y'all for y'all's service as well, very much.
Thank you.
So, kind of a meat and taters question here, I guess, and we'll stick with you on this one to start. New Braunfels is seeing historic growth. We're real estate-wise, we're in an historic market. We have historic high demand and historic low supply. New Braunfels is currently on the most recent numbers, showing only about 0.9 months worth of inventory. We're seeing prices skyrocket, to be quite frank. And in some cases, 20 to 30% increases over 1 month, whereas typically we see Texas real estate appreciate on average about 3.5% per annum. Is there anything that you think the city could do a little bit better to help facilitate this growth and bring some more inventory online so we don't enter into frothy or bubble-like territory?
Well, I'm new, but I have been attending the city council meetings and learning as much as I can, studying Envision New Braunfels and listening to all of the developers that come to the meetings. We do depend on developers to drive this process, and they have been bringing a lot of ideas to the table. Some zero lot line situations that have, that are being proposed, and multifamily that's trying to get here, developments that are being built right now with condos and single family housing, and there should be things on the horizon pretty soon from what I understand from the meeting. You tell me.
No, so thanks for the picture. I'm like, need a baton like a tractor, 4x100, they don't. No, it's a great question. So a couple things that I mentioned is the market really drives a lot of things, and sometimes governments tend not to be as nimble, for lack of a better term, right? The bureaucracy. That's not necessarily a bad thing. They have a role and scope. But one thing we've been trying to work on City Council is not only to streamline some resources, but also bringing folks in the development community, engineering community, real estate talk with staff and say, okay, these are some things we're doing. We understand there's challenges from your perspective. What could we do differently? But having those people in the room, not just bureaucrats and elected officials talking about processes, but bringing in people who do this daily and say, okay, well, where in the process is this, where in the process is that? On a very minimalistic level, but actually very positive, we used to require developers to bring in flats, hard copies. So they have to go to like a Kinko's or FedEx and bring in 20 some odd copies. That may be off the number, but it was a significant amount. Physically drop them off. Well, there's a cost incurred on that, but there's also that time cost, as well as the physical cost. Well, now we allow that to be done electronically. So we've invested money in infrastructure and electronic and some of that stuff to help. And that's minimalistic, I get it, but it's another step in that process to streamline the speed of things, which you speak of. The other thing is we're looking at some things that maybe could become more administrative processes and having to go. Many things have to go because of statutes and stuff through the process, especially zoning and things of that nature, or mandated by state and things of that nature. But other places where we can go to administrative, and also giving developers and other people more of a dashboard. We've done a really good job with GIS and a lot of dashboard stuff, but trying to work with a situation where you could actually track your thing through the process, because frequently, I wouldn't think frequently, but what can happen sometimes is there's that thought that sometimes at the city hall and what's called, some people would call it black hole, right? Where's this at? And in many cases, it's because it's between departments or things like this, but to give people more transparency of, okay, well, you can log in, here's your thing, you can see where it's at, in the process. So those aren't finalized yet, but we're working on strategies and things of this nature. But what I would suggest, and many of my colleagues, is let's bring in the people from the developers and others and real estate folks and engineers and have them sit down at the table, because they're a great resource on this. It doesn't mean they drive the whole process, but show us where what could we do better to make this more efficient to get to the goal you're speaking of on that aspect there, because it shouldn't be a strenuous process. I mean, our checks and balances, and those things have to be met, but at the same time, it shouldn't be such a problem in some cases. In many cases, it's not, but in some cases, it is.
Fantastic. I mean, two candidates that are willing to listen to their constituents and, put common sense forth, or put forth common sense solutions. That's great. Well, kind of wrapping this up here, what can we as a realtor community, which realtors do vote, it's statistically proven we're a higher voting block than most groups. What can we do to help you?
Get you and all your friends out and anyone you know in District 4 and 3 on April 19th to the elections office downtown. And April 19th starts early voting, goes through the 27th. May 1st is the actual voting day, but we like to have those numbers in early. If I've got phone lists, you can come and volunteer and start calling people. I've even got a script that makes me sound really good and electable. But no, we just really just need your prayers on this sprint to the finish line, and really am grateful for Four Rivers Association of Realtors endorsement and the Texas Association of Realtors. So grateful. I had no idea, and I'm really honored. So,
we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I'll throw that same question to you.
So that's a hard act to follow after that one. but no, first and foremost, thanks to both Four Rivers and the State Association for your support. But I would say that, when you look at data, which is really interesting, in your organization, the prime example, in the realtors that you represent are actively involved in the community. So that's very important. But if you look at national data, so many people vote in the national election, which is very important, don't get me wrong, but very few people vote in the local elections. And, realistically, local level is where you have the most impact on your life on a daily basis. This is the local level, and obviously realtors vote very well at that level. But in relation to your question, as Joy kind of mentioned, tell your friends and others and things of that nature, because you'd be surprised how many people don't actively get involved at the local level, but they're involved at the national level. And I'm a fan of get involved at every level. So this isn't about local versus national, but to get the word out to people that, hey, look, this is what's going on in your city. These are what the candidates stand for. We've acted as our association, and get to the polls, get your friends to the polls. I've got a lot of information online that Joy does as well, so people can see all the stuff and contact us if they have any specific questions or things like that. But really, voter engagement is key, and voter apathy is an enemy of a democracy. So really, voter engagement and getting people to the polls.
And if our contact information isn't readily available, we certainly can get it that way. My cell phone number is everywhere.
I know the feeling.
kind of fits. That was supposed to be the last question, but I'm going to throw one more because you brought up a point that I almost missed. The most important thing is, when is the election? You gave us the dates. Let's end with those dates again so everybody knows where to go and what to do.
Early voting starts Monday, April 19th, this coming Monday. It goes through the 27th, and you can go downtown to the elections office for early voting. But day of, when it cuts off on April 27th and come back on one day for May 1st, Saturday, May 1st, and it's not at the elections office downtown. It's a little bit confusing. There's probably 6 other different locations, but not downtown. So it's posted, all of this information is posted on my website. It's joyfornbtx.com. And you can, like all the early voting times, days, same with Monday, May 1st.
And just to follow up on that, as Joy mentioned, early voting is also elections office, easy in, easy out, on a park and things like that. Day of voting, there are multiple locations. The primary one for District 3 is the Senior Center on Landon, but as Joy noted, there are multiple locations on election day. And just like she has her website, that's mine is Bowers4NB.D3.com, and all that info is there, as well as you can find it on, obviously government websites and things like that.
I listed the Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation as well, because our districts back up to each other, so it's just as close.
And there's a good one annexed, I believe, too, which you don't.
Good one annexed, too.
So you can find it all on there, but there's a lot, which is great, because it gives people multiple touch points to vote, especially if one's close to their home, things of that.
Well, fantastic. I sure appreciate y'all coming out today. It's been a pleasure, and let's go get them across the finish line, y'all.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
So do y'all want to review